G'day everyone, Matt from Marco66 here again. Today we're going to be talking instant read thermometers. Now I think an instant read thermometer is something that is old class is a really essential bit of kit for any pit master. I think outside your barbecue, your chimney starter and a good knife, an instant read is a really essential bit of kit. Now in New Zealand here we've probably got about 3 instant reads that are really common out there. So we're just going to go through them individually and have a bit of a review on each of those probes. The first probe we're going to look at is the Thermapen. So we'll go through a couple of the features of this particular probe. The first thing you'll notice is that it's got an auto sensing off and on. When I open the probe, it'll turn on, and when I close it, it'll turn off. The Thermapen has an auto-rotating display, which is really cool too. So whatever direction the probe is in, the display will follow, and the Thermapen does all 4 directions. So that's very cool. This you can run in Celsius or Fahrenheit. I've got it in Fahrenheit at the moment, but if you want to change it, you can undo this little screw here, remove the end cap, and inside there's a little button that'll allow you to flick between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Also, it is battery operated. It takes a AAA battery, and again, if we pop this cover off, that's where you can replace your battery. This has a manufacturer's advertised response time of 3 seconds, and it's got an accuracy of plus or minus 7 degrees Fahrenheit or plus or minus 4 degrees Celsius, so quite accurate. Now, while you can validate the accuracy of this probe, you can't calibrate it at home. If you feel that it is reading out and you want to calibrate it, it's got to go back to the factory, so it's only factory calibrated. Additional features with these is you can buy a silicone boot that slips over the top. They're about $25, and that's a bit of a dust protector. I don't have one on this particular model, but they are available. And affordability, $169 is what these retail for in New Zealand. Quite a hardy, robust bit of kit, and if you've ever felt them in your hand compared to another probe, they're a bit heavier and I guess a bit more robust. The next probe we're going to look at is the Inkbird, and these are great bits of kit as well. Now, like the Thermapen, when we open our probe here, the display turns on, and when we close it, it'll turn off. Unlike the Thermapen, the displayer does only display one way. So if I turn this upside down, the display is just going to remain that one way. This is also waterproof. It's listed as IPX5, so not as quite as waterproof as the Thermapen. Also, like the Thermapen, we can switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit depending on how you like to operate, and you'll see there's just a button here that you can use to do that. So that's a good little function. You can change that quite easily. Battery, this has a built-in lithium-ion battery, and you charge it USB at the end here. Is where you plug your USB in, and you'll actually see with this one there's a little battery display there. You'll see I need to charge this one up, which would be the first time that I've had to do that. Manufacturer lists this response time at 3 to 5 seconds, so quite quick, and accuracy of 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius. So again, quite accurate. A good function with this is that you can self-calibrate it. You can do it at home. If you run an accuracy validation and it is a bit out, you can do that yourself, which is pretty cool. It's a good little function of these. Affordability, depending on which retailer you use or who you buy it through, you're looking around about that $45 mark. So that's actually quite affordable and a really good bit of kit. Functionality, the only thing I'd point out with these is that when you're wearing cotton gloves, sometimes this probe can be a bit tricky to open. The probe sits under a little ridge there while it's tucked away, and just to get it over that, sometimes you do have to lift the probe up just a touch. Not an issue with your bare hands or if you're wearing nitrile gloves, but if you have your cotton gloves on, that can be a little bit tricky. The last one we're going to look at is the PureQ. The PureQ is relatively new on the market in New Zealand, but there are a few of them out there now, and they're also pretty good bits of kit. Again, like the other probe or probes, it is going to turn on when you open it, and it's going to turn off when you close it. Now, the other 2 probes have an auto backlight. The backlight will flick on once you open it. With this particular one, you have to push this button, and it's a bit hard to see in the daylight, but you need to push that button to turn it off and on. It's also waterproof. It has the IP67, so the same as the Thermapen. And you can flick between your Celsius and Fahrenheit, again with the push of a button. So another good little easy function to use there. You look in the back here, you can see this is where your battery sits, and it takes a little 3-volt lithium ion, sort of like your watch battery, but a bit larger. Here's a response time, or manufacturer's listed response time of 2 to 3 seconds with plus or minus 2 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius accuracy. So it is quite an accurate bit of kit, as they all are. And you can also do a calibration with this too, which we'll go over shortly with this button here. Some additional features. You'll see this one has a bottle opener, which is quite cool for the barbecuer that enjoys a cold drink. Affordability, depending again on which retailer you use, you're looking around about that $45 to $60 mark. So a very affordable bit of kit. Okay, so we've got a pot of boiling water on our little stove top. So that's boiling away. We're going to assume that it's bang on 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's just test how quick these things operate. Now, because I've got these all set to Fahrenheit, that's the temperature we're going to be looking for. So 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's start with the Thermapen. You can see that was very quick, just a number of seconds. And we're up around 212. So very quick on the Thermapen. The Inkbird. And again, look at that, straight up there, very quick. No complaints with the Inkbird. And finally, our PureQ. Also very quick. So you can see there we might need to give that a little bit of a calibration. We'll go through that shortly. But all three probes, very quick, no complaints with the speed of response in any of those. They're all brilliant. So let's go through how we can validate and calibrate your instant read if it has that function. First one we'll look at is the Thermapen. Now, as I said before, we can't calibrate it, but what we can do is we can validate it. So what we've got here is a cup of ice. We've filled it up a bit with water, and we're presuming that that's our 0 degrees or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the freezing point of water. So we're going to use that as our baseline. So you can see there again that our Thermapen is very quick to respond and very accurate too, 32.2, 32.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's only 0.2 or 0.3 of a degree Fahrenheit out. Right, now we're going to check the Inkbird. Remember, we're looking for 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, look at that. That's really pretty accurate. 31.7, and you're looking at, points of a Fahrenheit degree. It's very little, but we'll go through the calibration procedure to show you. So we'll say that's settled out at 31.2, so we're under by 0.8 of a degree. Now, carrying out a calibration on an Inkbird is pretty straightforward. You can check out the manufacturer's instructions, but I'll take you through it. What we need to do is we need to hold down this button and ensure that your probe is closed and the display is off. We hold down our button, and while you've got it held down, open up the probe. And what that's going to do is it'll bring up a display that says CA for calibration. That's calibration mode. And we click it again, and you're going to get a display start flashing. And what this is going to do is it's going to cycle through from plus 5 degrees Fahrenheit to minus 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can click it once to tick them over individually, or you can hold the button down, and what that's going to do is it'll just speed up cycling through. So we know that we were under by 0.8 of a degree, so we want to add 0.8 of a degree. And this is where it can get a little tricky or confusing. So now we have 0.8 degrees Fahrenheit displayed there, and that's how much we were under by. So if I lay this flat down now for 10 seconds, that will set that calibration. Next up's our PureQ. Now we can both validate and calibrate this one. And it is reading reasonably accurate. I gave it a bit of a calibrate before just as a trial run, but we'll put it in and we'll show you how to go through it regardless. So you can see there, it is quite accurate and very fast to respond also. So the way that we do a calibration here is that we hold down our calibration button, and that's going to put us into calibration mode. With a cal, and then we can use these buttons here to scroll up or scroll down there. And I'm going to say 32 degrees is our baseline. That's what we want for 0. I'm going to let that sit there, and now that's calibrated when that stops flashing. So it's as easy as that really, and that is now my baseline, 0 degrees or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So there we have it, a review of these 3 instant read thermometers. Look, I will just say with the calibration procedure that we went through there, it is a bit of backyard science. We're making some assumptions. There are a few things that are going to depend on whether that is exactly 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, but it gives you an idea of how you can validate your probe and calibrate it if it has that function. And look, out of all these 3 probes, so you can't really go wrong. They're all good probes. They all have their great functions. So whatever one you choose to buy or whatever one that you do own and use, you're not going to go wrong with it. They're all accurate. They're all fast. They've all got great battery lives. There's really nothing you can be too nitpicky with. But hopefully it just gives you a bit of an idea of some of their functions, especially if you're looking at buying one. We hope you enjoyed our video today. If you've got any questions about instant read thermometers, by all means, give us a yell. If you enjoyed the video, give us a subscribe. And, if you feel like there's someone who might get some benefit from it, share away. That would be great. Well, that's us signing off until next time. Cheers.